Hello and welcome back to the Sideboard. I am Ruben Bressler here at Star City Games Los Angeles, the Invitational, and I am joined by magic artist Jason Felix. Jason, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And so let's introduce the folks at home a little bit to your work. Most people know you from several of your recent pieces like Laboratory Maniac. You have Obnixilis here. What are some other pieces that people might know you from?
I would say the quintessential card would be All Is Dust.
Okay.
The Zendikar block.
Nice.
And what's a Creeping Tar Pit's another one that seems to be winning people over or upsetting people.
Sure. And so you have a playmat here that you've done for. Is this a commission piece?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
And this is All Is Dust, of course.
Yep.
Do you really like the Eldrazi sort of feel? Mm-hmm. That's why you're most known for those, you think? Or?
I think so. In addition to illustrating the All Is Dust card, I also had a chance to help visualize what the Eldrazi look like.
Oh, okay.
So as Magic was trying to figure out the preliminary design aesthetics, I was also on the forefront trying to help out the visual aesthetics on them as well. So nothing's cooler than these sort of mythical aliens coming down to destroy the world / Cthulhu. What is going on with this stuff?
Exactly. And so, if you were to describe your style, what would most people, or what would you describe your style as?
My style, I would say it fuses a dark edge. So I don't mean to be dark. It's just I'm very fixated by different shapes, and usually monsters tend to fall into that category. So usually monsters kind of fall into the darker category. So yeah, I would say playful designs where it has photography and painting and makes me all smashing together, but very edgy in terms of design, usually monsters.
Speaking of monsters, you have a book here that's your Monsters Compendium.
Yes.
You do, of course, just like all magic artists, you also have work outside of the magic realm.
Yes.
Where else would people be able to find your work?
It's an exceptional question. Up until before Magic, I was actually working avidly doing video game production work. So
okay.
I worked with Electronic Arts, and I worked with Blizzard, Arcane Studios. So there's I would say almost 10 years worth of experience. And some of the games I worked on was actually StarCraft Ghost. That was, of course, right now on an extended hiatus.
Yep.
And most recently is Dead Space 3. So I was helping them visually define the aesthetics of the survival horror game that's coming out.
Now, you referenced your dark edge, and I've always sort of identified you with the depth of your lighting, and that really shows through on Magic cards. It's really stark contrasts, especially with things like Laboratory Maniac, where there's a very focused light source, and it's sort of but then there's also really dark corners in your art. Is that amplified by the small space that you have on a Magic card, or do you think that some of it is lost in translation?
That is, I would say, a choice in terms of lighting is that I was trying to shoot for a cinematic feel. So a lot of times compositions can be defined by color and values, and I find that usually, regardless if you subtract color, as long as you have stark contrast, usually things read a bit clearer. But I do have to say that you're absolutely right. When it does get reduced, the colors do intensify, so the darks get darker, and it tends to get the edges a lot more dark than usually would show up in the original pieces.
Yeah, I've noticed that Magic art, even when it's blown up to something like this size, it's a whole different piece. And so and I find that with your art as well, and it's very interesting to see. You can look at the same piece of art in multiple different sizes, and it just looks completely different.
Absolutely.
So you're still working with Magic as we speak. I assume you can't say anything in particular, but we can look forward to more Jason Felix art in upcoming Magic expansions.
Yes. So they're definitely keeping me on board, and which is great. I always definitely enjoy working with the Magic product, just because not only the gameplay mechanics, but simply visually, aesthetically, it's the most compelling game that I think is out there right now. So to be a part of it's always great. So I'm happy to say yes.
Excellent. And if the folks at home want to be able to get in contact with you to be able to purchase any of your books or your art, where can they do that?
It's my name, so it's just one word, jasonfelix.com. And it's on my main website. Yeah,
Cool.
definitely easy to be reached that way too.
Cool. So check out chasenfelix.com. Jason, thank you so much for joining us in the sideboard.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.